Yeah, not great. This will probably be a practice session where we want to see a response now. There was a lot of things we can sit here and make excuses, which we're not going to, because it's nothing to do with who's in and out. It's nothing to do with who was sick and who wasn't. We had a plan in place that wasn't executed, and a large part of that responsibility falls on me to assume that we were where we should be and we're not. So now it's about correcting that.
I guess despite the results, though, did you see any glimpses of the team that you know and that's kind of been working towards, that you've been working towards?
Or if I can be brutally honest, I think there was 3 guys that played to their potential. I think there was 1 that was close to his potential, and then I think the other 5 fell well short of what's required of the job description. Including, and I'll put myself as number 6 to be like, we didn't get where we need to be, and so that's where we're looking to make those changes.
Do you think that was more to do with the first round, or is this something we can fix in training? Where do you kind of go from there?
Oh, and again, we can make excuses. We can say, pre-season was a little disrupted, but there's been a lot of teams that have had a disrupted pre-season. We can say it's because of injuries, but a lot of teams have had injuries. We've changed out our import, so did South East. So if the excuses aren't good enough for other teams, they're not going to be good enough for us.
How much of that loss do you attribute to the disrupted pre-season?
Probably more in terms of the plan and preparation of maybe we underestimated some things, which we should have put a little bit more attention to detail on. But again, things that are correctable and that we can fix is probably what the main goal is this week and moving forward.
Obviously, Rain's first game as well for the Snakes. How do you think was he one of those 3 that?
Yes. Yeah, so there's definitely areas he can work on. But for a guy that didn't play any of the preseason games and virtually had 2.5 real practices with us, that's probably what stood out in the sense that he was able to do what he did, and that's probably why it was disappointing for everybody else who's been here for 7 weeks and has had multiple preseason games, didn't. And so that shows you the level of talent that we do have at our disposal, but it's important now that my main job is to get all 5, all 10, all 12 guys operating on that same page.
What are you going to focus on this week to ensure you get that win?
Yeah, and the things I felt like we were locked in for last week, we weren't. So now it's about doubling down on what our home-based defense is, doubling down on what our offensive sets are, but not assuming that when I say, hey, we're all on the same page and everyone nods their head, because we're not. So it's going to be more accountability from me. It's going to be more accountability from the leadership group, but also understanding that the own individual, I shouldn't have to tell someone that gets paid to do this job to perform in a certain manner. That's part of their job description. So same as if it was anybody else working a 9-to-5er that has to support their family. If a plumber, if a chef, if a labourer doesn't do their job, they're going to lose their job. And that's what these guys sometimes have to recognise, is that this is a results-driven industry, and what we did on the weekend was not good enough. Directly afterwards, we were doing it at the airport. We had a good meeting with a lot of guys this morning, had some individual ones. After we're done on court today, we actually go back to CBI and we've got a whole afternoon of video. So it's going to be a long day for them, but we need to make sure that when we roll in Friday night and host our first home game, that we don't drum up that performance that we did on the weekend.
Do you think a 37-point loss is acceptable for a season opener?
No, not at all. It's not acceptable at any point of the season. And again, that's what's disappointing, was we didn't play to our potential. It showed the flaws that I've done in terms of getting this team where I thought they were, which is what we're not. We can make excuses, but the reality is 37 points is a swift kick to the nuts, and so that needs to be fixed.
When you talk about doubling down, is that focusing on defence this week? Is it focusing on those turnovers?
Both ends. It's the turnovers. There were sets in play that we knew South East were going to get upper pressure, so we had a contingency play in place. When one guy doesn't run his route, then it mucks up the whole system, and that falls again on me. It's not necessarily that one guy. I assume he knows where he needs to go, and if he doesn't, that's me as a head coach that has to correct and fix that. So, yeah, we're not gonna suddenly put more things on top. We just need to be solid with what we already got.
Is it about sticking to the original game plan, or does a 37-point loss mean a lot of things need to change with the systems and structures?
No, you don't change. That's a reactionary thing that is an overcorrection. we weren't good at what we should be good at. And so to then change it is an overcorrection, and then you're going to be even worse off.
I agree. As simple as that. I think you go through pre-season to build up certain processes and certain structures and the way we want to play, and the fact of the matter was is we just weren't there offensively or defensively.
Forde said there was probably about 3 people who stepped up to their potential no one else kind of did. How do you kind of fix that in the team?
I mean, look, I think you build, as I said, you build all pre-season, right, to come together as a group. So I think that, 3 people, 5 people, 7 people, whatever, it's not enough. It's not enough people for what we need to do. We need all 11, 12 on the same page every single time we go out there to play as a unit, can stipends. Win or loss goes on our record book, right? So I think that 3 people, 5 people, I agree. I think there were a few people who gave good effort, but at the end of the day, we got to go with those guys as well. Definitely, I think it's probably a little bit less around cohesion and around. No. I think it's probably a little bit less around cohesion and just doing what we're supposed to do. I think that there's structures in place of what are we doing defensively, what are we doing on the offensive end. The fact of the matter was we weren't doing those. So I think cohesive-wise, like, we're a great group. We're good friends. Like, we have a lot of respect for each other. We like hanging out, all those things. But we have to translate on when we walk over the line, like, it's got to be about business. So we need to get better at that structural element.
What were you most frustrated with after the game?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I couldn't really hear.
What were you left most frustrated with after the game on the weekend?
Oh, just the intent. As I said, for 6 weeks now, 7 weeks, probably longer, we've been building this system of how we want to play. And, that just wasn't there. Defensively, offensively, it wasn't there. So, we review that, and we're going to review it today, which I'm sure will be pretty harsh, as it should be. And I think that's about what it is. That's the most disappointing part, that you put things in place and then that doesn't translate. Poorly. I think that my job is to organise, my job is to lead in that example, and I don't think I did a good enough job of that. So it is the first game of the year. We do have a long way to go, and I don't think anyone clicks the finger, and if someone had the magic dust, they'd be a very wealthy person. So I think it's about, how do we go back to those structures, go back to the basics? What do you do for the team? What are you good at, and how can you help? So, I review myself harsher than anybody, but I think it's about, forward now. We deal with today with what we need to, and one foot in front of the other.
Are you guys looking forward to welcoming Andrews to the squad? And have you guys been given an update on when he might line up and start?
I believe he's coming in soon. I think it's going to be super exciting. I think that's the sort of player we look to welcome, someone who can help with that structure and that organisation a lot. And from all reports as well and what we've seen, he's an incredible player. So anytime you get to add someone like that's a great thing. Look, Brisbane had a pretty good first game. I think that they've got a lot of talent in their backcourt. Tyrell Harrison's playing really well. But again, it's probably going to be about us, right? Like, we've coming off this week is about our structures. What are we doing? Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? And I think that's the biggest challenge this week is, can we stick to what we say we're going to?
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.